Hello and welcome to Templar Night TV. I'm Tony McMahon. Now, you may have seen me on TV on various documentary series, but my main obsession, my main interest is the Knights Templar. And I have a book out soon called The Knights Templar History and Mystery. It may already be out at the time that you're watching this, published by Pen and Sword. Make sure you get your copy. Now, what am I going to talk about today? Well, when the Knights Templar were arrested in 1307, they were accused of two things: heresy and sodomy. Now, heresy was denying the role of the church as the intermediator between God and the people, the authority of the Pope, the authority of the church, the authority of the sacraments. Anybody who did that was a heretic and was going to be burned at the stake. Sodomy was a kind of an umbrella term used to describe all kinds of sexual acts of which the church disapproved, normally acts of sex that did not involve procreation. Now, the charge of heresy and of sodomy are kind of intertwined because heresy and sodomy were seen as two things that disturbed the natural order, if you want. Now, many people think that sodomy is an umbrella term that is not necessarily understood as homosexuality, because the term homosexuality was only invented in the 19th century. That it covers bestiality, masturbation, even oral sex, anal sex between men and women, etc., as well as homosexuality. But let me be absolutely clear. In various church councils and pronouncements at the time, it's very clear that homosexuality, even though it wasn't called that, even though it wasn't termed that, nevertheless, the idea of male on male same-sex relations was recognized, because, come on, homosexuals have existed throughout history. It's nothing new. And men who had a preference for men would often join the clergy or military orders like the Knights Templar. After all, your family would stop nagging you then about when you were going to get married to that nice girl down the road. You could say, well, I'm not getting married because I'm now a monk, or I'm a knight in the Templars or the Hospitallers. Plus the fact you could get to have sexual relations, no doubt, behind closed doors. So I'm pretty sure that in these orders there was indeed homosexual activity. I don't think the charge was entirely without foundation. But let's get specific about the charges that were made and the confessions. They all repeat this idea that in the secret rites of the Knights Templar, the knights kissed each other all over the body, but specifically at the base of the spine. Now, to get obvious about this, the base of the spine to me is the posterior, is the bottom, but you can interpret it however you wish. But the knights were accused of these illicit kisses. Now, did this actually happen? The majority view, certainly among mainstream historians, is that this was all a way of denigrating the knights, of buttering up, if you want, public opinion, getting people ready for the knights being crushed, annihilated. But I would urge a note of caution in all this, because if in our day an organisation was accused of institutionalised sexual abuse, we wouldn't just dismiss it, and I don't think we should just dismiss it out of hand when it comes to the Knights Templar. It's entirely feasible that there was sex abuse, but also consenting male-on-male sexual relations, and this was used against the Templars in 1307 in their trials. There certainly was a lot of concern in the church about male-on-male sexual relations. We see it coming up at the Council of Nablus in the Holy Land, where it was believed that the Crusades were practically being derailed by homosexuality, and also at the Third Lateran Council, where the Pope was very exercised on the topic of both homosexuality and heresy. Now, he doesn't use the term homosexuality, I realise that, but he is referring to men having relations with men. If you want to dispute that with me, if you're a conservative on the right or you're into queer theory and you think I'm being too crude or simplistic, then by all means take issue. Now, it's very interesting that in the Middle Ages, the Muslim world was often seen as being a hotbed of homosexuality because there were poets like Abu Nuwas, for example, who talked very openly about his love for young men. You didn't get this in the Christian West. So it could be that there was an idea as well that the Templars had been infected by the decadence of the Muslim East. That's one reason that sodomy may have been so prevalent within the order. Well, as I say, I'm going to be discussing this and many other topics in my book, The Knights Templar History and Mystery. So do get your copy. It's out in hardback on the 30th of November 2024. It's published by Pen and Sword. You can get it online through the usual sources. Do watch out for me on TV as well. I'm a regular. As I say, I'll be appearing in a couple of documentaries, Alien Corridors and Truth Seekers. But until we meet again, non nobis domine.